Hey, in this video, I'm going to talk about one, two, three, four, five, 6 points. 6 points about my journey being with the Humiliatrix and how that all came about. So, if you choose to step forward into that space, you can. And the benefits for me, and the reason I talk about the benefits for me is because they might not be the same benefits for you. You just need to listen to, can you hear some truth in this or not? Now, this event came about. This was pre-COVID, just before COVID hit, and I just finished an ayahuasca trip, and I did something called ISTA, which is the International School of Temple Arts, and they are a neo tantra community and institution that helps men and women dive deeper into their sexuality and acceptance of themselves. And for me, I went to one that was in Tasmania. I knew that was the one that I needed to go to. I followed my heart. So learning how to follow your heart is the overarching theme of all of everything that I'm going to be speaking to here. And there was the correct people there, the correct ratio of people there. There was the correct facilitators for me. It was perfect. Um, the reason I say it was perfect for me is because in Australia, in particular, there's istas that go on and they're full of people, way too many people. And I've also heard rumors of facilitators who are leaky and inexperienced taking participation in the one in Australia. So for me, if you go to an Australian ISTA that's in Australia, particularly the one that's in the Northern Rivers, and you have a shitty experience, well, expect to have a shitty experience because then I don't think, and what I'm hearing is they're not equipped to handle the volume of people and the space required to go take people deep. The ISTA that I went to, it was a profound experience. Um, it was just perfect. And I think when you trust your heart and you follow yourself into these places, you get exactly the correct experience of what you want. So the 6 points that I'll be talking to, one will be provider, listening, sexual confidence, deeper orgasm, heart confidence, and immunity to shame, which I think a lot of people, men in particular, would love to have in regards to their experience with women, especially sexually. So, doubling back to the ISTA experience, I met some community there who had connections to a temple night where I met this humiliatrix and we were doing this tantric temple night, and there was an opportunity to sit in her chair, in her dom chair, her humiliatrix chair. And as soon as we opened up the field to do that, I was the first one with my hand up, saying like, "I want to be in that chair." My heart knew that I needed to be in that chair. I knew if I didn't do this, I'd miss out on a huge opportunity, and this cycle would repeat again and again unless I did this. And I'm so grateful that I trusted my heart and did that because as soon as that event finished, COVID happened and there was no more. No more. So the first point here is the provider and my contempt with women about needing to be a provider, especially for a woman that wanted to become a mother or was already a mother. And what showed up for me here is that this part of me that always wanted the woman to give back, that it was unfair of me to be the one that provides the money or the resources or my presence when I had my own things to do. At that point in my life, I was just gaming a lot and doing my own things, reading or just Peter Pan type stuff, right? So I'll get to the end and how all this flows through. The second part was listening. I didn't really listen to women or my internal feminine, the anima. And so whenever there was an emotion that needed to be expressed, I'd delay it. I'd wait till I'd be in private so there'd be safety. I wouldn't be humiliated for my feelings, right? And when I'd be listening to a woman, I wouldn't take in the information. I'd just be nodding, like complacency, like, yeah, yeah, sure, sure, sure. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I hear you want kids in the next year. Yeah, sure. Yeah. But for me, it was more about just getting what I could get from them. So I'd agree to anything until the time came to move in with them. And then all of my avoidance strategies or my rigid strategies, my armoring strategies would appear, my survival strategies would appear. The third one was sexual confidence, where I'm quite comfortable, incredibly comfortable being around a woman sexually, asking for what my wants and needs are, making noise, really enjoying myself and forming a singular union in that dance instead of me just getting what I wanted to get out of there, right? So the provider and listening piece also back into this sexual confidence piece where I know my place and I can speak powerfully to that place. There's also like the fifth point, a deeper orgasm here. And because my body was no longer armored, it allows for the orgastic potency to flow through the entire body. When there's armoring in the body, you hold back, you hold in, you try and attempt to override the pleasure, right? Wilhelm Reich spoke to the or orgasm anxiety, where there's a letting go that needs to happen to experience an orgasm fully. And if you don't know what that is, because you're armored or you're afraid of humiliation or being afraid of being made wrong for your authentic experience, then you can't have a deep orgasm. And heart confidence. So being able to connect deeply into my heart's wisdom and speak truth from this place. I see a recurring theme when people say that their throat chakra is um, undercharged or whatever. You see, you can't repair just an isolated organ. You need to have a look at where the rest of your body is trapped or locked down or armored. So when I access that rage in that humiliatrix chair, like it's the primal fucking rage, it's used as a force of dynamism. It's like a dynamic movement through the body, which gives you a freedom. You can use your rage as uh, uh, like a block push, like a drain pipe. I've got an image of a snake going down. You know, if you're a plumber or if you're familiar with plumbing tools, the snake that goes down the drain pipe and just cleans up all the crud that's in the drain pipe. That's what you can use anger for. And then once you've cleaned that out, then you can start using love to fill your body. But if you don't go into the lower self first, you'll be trying forcing love through all these clotted arteries of armoring or hatred or self-hatred or low self-worth, right? And every single time that you trust your heart and you commit to something, even if you don't have the resources, even if you don't have the time, the universe looks at you, or the powers that be looks at you, or whatever faith is for you, looks at you and goes, "Oh, that person's ready to step into the unknown. Let's give them some more help. Let's make sure that they really want this. Let's test them with something else on the other side of that." Right? Sometimes when somebody signs up to work with me, uh, they get tested as soon as they commit. Some family member will come up with some issue. They might be made redundant in their job, or something else happens for them to test them. Are they willing to walk this path? This is a spiritual path. This is about faith. This is about self knowing. This is about being with the unknown, being able to step through the void and walking out the other side with a new set of skills, a new set of abilities. And the sixth point here, and immunity to shame. Immunity to shame. And shame is transformative. Shame and guilt are transformative. They're mechanisms for checking yourself and apologizing and forgiving. And when they're in a shadow state, when they're not accessed powerfully, they're a wall, uh, uh, a blockage for exposing who you really are at the core. So for me, this immunity to shame is a toxic shame. It's an immunity to toxic shame. It's an immunity to being wanting to be humiliated. Like if you've seen my posts, I can post some pretty critical things, right? Pretty judgmental things, and I'll get people in my comment section or in my messages sending me attempts to humiliate me, make me bad. For example, oh, John, I'd hate to be a client of yours. Like, John, is this how you treat your clients? It's like, no, it's not. And I can see what you're doing. It doesn't work on me. Like, what you're doing won't work on me. I get it. It might work on some people. But when you reach this level of self-confidence and self-awareness, you can move through life with a liberation and freedom that you can't find just intellectually. So doubling back to the humiliatrix piece, there's a lot of people in that class, that temple night, and I remember it so fondly. I'll describe it a little bit to you if you want to stick around. So I put my hand up and she tied me in her chair. Actually, no, before she did that, I needed to select tools that she was going to use on me, all kinds of odd stuff. There was a whip, rope, some plants, like spiky plants, and I was sitting in the chair and it was in this closed off curtain area. But then as this process started to unfold, she pulled the curtains back and I could feel other people walking in and out of the curtain space. And she was whipping me and hurting me. And there was a moment where like she hurt me really hard. I went to bite her and she put her whole hand in my mouth. And I was like, wow, this woman knows what she's doing. Like, she said, "Don't bite me. Don't you fucking bite me. I'm the one that's in control here." And I was like, "Yeah, right. Fuck. This is the next tier of self-awareness." And then, like I made in the post, but you're probably watching this video from reading that post, is there was a moment where I heard her pull back, and there was silence, and then I heard her whispering just outside of earshot that I could hear specifically what she was saying. But then she was whispering to another woman because I could hear both of them started laughing. And for me, that made me snap. Like being publicly humiliated by women in the past, whether it was a schoolyard, whether it was my mother, whether it was what anywhere, publicly humiliated by the feminine and or women, right? Especially being bullied at school, like having my pants pulled down in the quadrangle, butt naked, right? So being publicly humiliated at school and knowing what humiliation feels like and the sense of shame that I'm not welcomed here, I am wrong, came flooding through me, right? This rage being held in a powerful adult body. But I'd done at least 2 years work of lower self work before this. So I know what this feeling feels like. I've been with this monster again and again and again, but now it was just another layer. And this was the spiritual work that I've signed up for, being able to access the full spectrum of what it means to be human. So after I had this little episode, like I lunged at her in this giant wooden chair with like handcuffs, like proper bolts, right? I could hear the chair creaking, and once I pulled myself back, I just burst out laughing, like I mentioned in that post, just burst out laughing. And if you've listened to my podcast, you'll hear my laugh, right? It's a deep, grounded laugh at the human condition and joy of what it means to be human and here right now in this time. So if you have an opportunity to step into places, if you're invited, you need to be aware of the part of you that is afraid of the unknown. Because this fear of the unknown will hold you back in every single area of your life. And it might be your heart's journey to learn all the things before you step into that place. That is a survival strategy to learn about all the things, learn about as much as you know before you go into the unknown. But time and time again, when I'm working with someone, I sense they're not ready yet. I don't work with them, and or part of me that's afraid of letting a client go will sign them up and then they end up leaving anyway because they aren't willing to step into this unknown place. And this unknown place holds incredible wisdom. It holds wisdom beyond the ages. It connects you back in with your ancestral self because this is the DNA. This is the wisdom that's held in the DNA. And I've spoken about the DNA, the blockchain, the original blockchain being DNA. It's because all of our ancestral wisdom is kept here, including other species. We can connect to everything through our DNA. And the gene key speaks to this, and the work that I've done speaks to this. The more you access yourself, the more that you know yourself, the more you have an understanding of who you are, what you're here to do, how it is that you express your truth. And sometimes you need to come back to this. Sometimes you need to fail, fall short of stepping through the unknown, fall short of stepping into this place of humiliation. And then you come back later if you choose to. You don't have to. This journey isn't for everybody, it's for those that are willing. Many are called. So that's the end of my story of being in that humiliatrix chair. Much work was done before to get to that point of awareness. And if you have the opportunity, like your journey is your journey. Your path is your path. Where your yellow brick road goes is not the same where my yellow brick road went. You need to choose. Your rabbit holes will not be the same rabbit holes as me. Your DNA holds its own keys to take you wherever it is that you want to go. And if you got this far, thank you so much for listening. And if you want to learn more about my work, I've got a free school group. Once a month, we do a community call, open community call, hang out with me, a bunch of the others, talk about whatever's going on in our lives. You're more than welcome to come. I'd love for you to be there. And with that, thank you so much for watching and listening and being present with all of this. And if it's been transformational for you, let me know. John, this has been transformational for me. Or John, wow, I had no idea. Fantastic. Now you do. Mad love. Peace.